How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It is your most hated kaiju power scarer, King Churros here, back at it again with another versus battle. And today we are switching it up. We are going to do our very first dinosaur battle featuring the Jurassic Park series. Jurassic World Dominion just recently released. And now it got people asking who is stronger between the Giganotosaurus and the Spinosaurus, as both of them are famously known as the T-Rex killers. I am here to give my interpretation of the battle. I'm going to go over their feats, stats, and every so forth to see who would come out on top if the Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion came across the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. Now, let's get on to the nitty-gritty, ladies and gentlemen. Let's first go over their feats, starting off with the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus starts off the film already getting hit by a plane. Planes can move at 100 miles per hour, which would generate a lot of kinetic energy, and the Spinosaurus took it, although it did bleed from some. This will give it some wall level to potentially small building level scaling. The Spinosaurus was able to rip apart the plane with ease, clawing and using its mouth to able to rip it apart. The Spinosaurus can also casually knock over trees, which can take over 12,000 newtons, similar to wall level yet again, which is also really nice for the Spinosaurus, as the Spinosaurus did this casually and didn't even realize it was doing that. However, there could be some outliers to this, as when the Spinosaurus, when the Spinosaurus was chasing after the humans the first time they got on a plane trip, it did got stopped by a couple of trees at first. So there is some little claims to this, but we can easily argue that these trees are a lot larger than normal trees. Next on, we have the Spinosaurus was able to run through a steel fence and completely busted down and over. And then later, or not later, before that, the biggest reason the Spinosaurus gets all the hype is that it was able to kill a young bull T-Rex. Many sources claim it as a sub-adult Rex, and then I also heard people claim that that is untrue. I have found neither sources to debunk either one of them, so either this Rex is the Rex it killed was a sub-adult, or it was just a lot smaller in comparison to its other relatives on Isla Sorna and Nublar. But that doesn't change the fact that the Spinosaurus still killed a Rex, regardless if it was a sub-adult or not fully sized or not as big as the other ones, as this Rex should be comparable or at least relative to its family members. Now, on to the Giganotosaurus. The Giganotosaurus had some also really good feats. It was able to rip apart a steel cage and break down metal staircases. It was also able to withstand a torch of complete fire into its mouth and just shrug it off. It can also knock over trees casually. The Giganotosaurus was able, in prehistoric times, was able to kill a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Very likely to be the sample to where Rexy came from, Rexy being the largest T-Rex in the Jurassic Park franchise, at least in films. I'm unaware if there's like a comic or something where there's like a Mega Rex, but in terms of films, she is the largest. So the relative should also be around relative size or the exact same size. There shouldn't be a drastic difference. So the Giganotosaurus is also able to take that one down. And then the future Giganotosaurus, which is more than likely to be the relative of the Giganotosaurus that killed the prehistoric Rex, was also able to tango with Rexy and defeat her consistently multiple times. He just overall scaled above Rexy. The Spinosaurus and the Giganotosaurus never fought each other on screen. So we can't just go over a fight like that. We have to compare the two, and the best way to compare the two is by seeing how they handled their Rexes. Comparing the two, we have the Spinosaurus having a harder time with their Rex than the Giganotosaurus was. The sub-adult Tyrannosaurus, or more smaller Tyrannosaurus, however, whatever viewpoint you have on, I don't have confirmation yet. If you have confirmation, please let me know in the comments if the sub-adult thing is true or not. But regardless, this inferior Rex, because I don't think anybody will try to argue that this Rex is more powerful than Rexy. If you honestly believe that the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3 is more powerful than Rexy, I beg you to show me proof and evidence. I would love to see it, because I doubt you have it. So anyways, Rexy is 99.99% more likely to be stronger than the Rex that the Spinosaurus handled with. Rex that the Spinosaurus handled with was giving the Spinosaurus a run for its money. The Spinosaurus barely tagged the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It did hit it with his claws, but for the most part, the T-Rex was doing all the work. It was landing the blows. It was pushing the Spinosaurus over with his jaws. It was knocked. It even headbutted the Spinosaurus, and the Spinosaurus kind of fell back some. It didn't obviously the Spinosaurus didn't fall over, but it got knocked back by it. That just goes to show you that even a T-Rex that's not as strong as Rexy can make the Spinosaurus stumble some. And mind you, when the first fight of the Giganotosaurus, not the prehistoric fight, but the first fight during modern times, the Giganotosaurus completely overpowered the Rex through physical power alone. It did eventually use his jaws, but that was at the very end after it completely manhandled Rexy with just his head, which shows it has physical strength comparable to Rexy, if anything, stronger than Rexy because it overpowered Rexy physically. So if a subadult T-Rex or a smaller T-Rex, which is more than likely weaker than Rexy, to also further this point about the smaller Rex being weaker than Rexy, size is relevant in the Jurassic Park franchise. To prove this, the Spinosaurus is stated to be bigger than Tyrannosaurus Rex, not because of, obviously it's true, but is also to emphasize that it's a bigger threat. This is the same with the Indominus Rex. We made her bigger, scarier, and same thing with Giganotosaurus, that they kept emphasizing it was the largest theropod on the planet. All three of these guys, the Giganotosaurus, Spinosaurus, and Indominus Rex, all surpassed the T-Rex. Well, versions of the T-Rex. There's multiple T-Rexes, but they can all tangle with versions of the T-Rexes. This helps to emphasize the point that size is relevant, and that would mean Rexy being a much bigger size. She's also kind of the flagship Tyrannosaurus Rex of the franchise. I highly doubt the subadult would be just more powerful than that. So that would help prove that Rexy's just overall stronger than the subadult Rex. So the subadult Rex was giving the fades, the hands to the Spinosaurus. And Spinosaurus finally got an opening using its arms and his jaws to overpower the subadult Rex and kill it by breaking its neck. While the Giganotosaurus was doing exactly what the subadult T-Rex was doing to the Spinosaurus. Except the T-Rex didn't get no opening on the Giga. It just straight up beat it. In prehistoric times and in modern times. The only reason the Giganotosaurus died in modern times is the T-Rex had assistance from the Therizinosaurus, which helps emphasize the point that the Giga is just above the Rexy. And as I proved earlier, the Giganotosaurus pretty casually for at least the first two fights. The final fight, Rexy put up a much stronger, better fight. But out of the three fights, the Giga won all three without assistance, of course. When assistance came in, the Tyrannosaurus Rex got the top. But in the solo fights, the Giganotosaurus consistently won. It overpowered Rexy and the ancient Rexy, which would more than likely scale above the subadult Rex in Jurassic Park 3. So if the Giganotosaurus is powerful enough to body and wreck Rexy, who should more than likely be stronger than a Rex that the Spinosaurus had difficulty with. Many people say the Spinosaurus beat the T-Rex with ease. That is just simply not true. If you go back and watch the fight, you'll see that the T-Rex was ragdolling the Spinosaurus, throwing the Spinosaurus around through trees, headbutting it, biting it over and over again. The Spinosaurus could barely keep up with it until the T-Rex finally gave it an opening where it can use its long arms and its jaws. So really, yes, the Spinosaurus scales above that Bull Rex. I am not trying to argue that it doesn't. I'm just saying that it didn't win the same way the Giganotosaurus did. Let's take an example. Round 2 between Rexy and the Giganotosaurus, or round 1 according to their modern versions. This isn't within the forest when they were fighting over the deer. The Giganotosaurus won in like 10 seconds after simply headbutting the T-Rex and then biting Rexy on the nose and then forcing her to retreat. Rexy is not a pushover. Let's help establish lore here. Rexy has been on Isla Nublar for years, decades. She is more than likely have been in battles that are outside of the films, which would mean she probably had fights outside of Jurassic World and outside of Jurassic Park 1, more than likely, but I can't show evidence, 100% evidence for that as of now, until maybe I find more information or there just simply isn't there. That still doesn't change that Rexy has fought a pack of velociraptors. Mind you, in the deleted scene, or the original ending for Jurassic Park 3, the Spinosaurus was going to get killed by a pack of raptors. Now, mind you, that is, not, the scene is not canon, so that's, I can't use that as a full-on argument, but that should show you the mindset of the creators of the Jurassic Park franchise of where they see things. But hey, the pack of raptors are two different sets of raptors. You can argue the JP3 raptors are more powerful than the JP1 raptors. So there's a lot of variables to that, but I just want to include that. And I'm still not finished. Rexy did fight the Indominus Rex, which I think we should all agree on. The Indominus Rex is the most powerful dinosaur in all of the Jurassic Park franchise. I will have future videos going into more details on this, but the Indominus Rex is just the strongest one overall. Rexy was able to contend and battle the Indominus Rex. She was even able to ragdoll the Indominus Rex and throw her around into buildings and make the Indominus Rex bleed. This is the same Indominus Rex who shrugged off shotgun bullets and shells and many other bullets, and then was able to not exactly take a rocket launcher straight to the body. It was in the blast range, and it was able to not get too damaged by that either. Yet Rexy could damage the Indominus Rex, so she is no pushover. That should help scale her above the subadult Rex as well, to prove that she's a much stronger Tyrannosaurus Rex than the Tyrannosaurus Rex the Spinosaurus dealt with, which I will mention again, the Spinosaurus had some trouble dealing with. The Spinosaurus did not win with pure ease, one shot. It did not do that. It had to get a opening to even get to that point. As for the Giganotosaurus, though, it fights a stronger Rex, which is Rexy, who we helped establish, is strong enough to throw the Indominus Rex around. This is the same Indominus Rex who could take an Ankylosaurus club to the face without no injuries, yet Rexy's bites can make the Indominus Rex bleed. And then Rexy, by the way, guys, bit the Giganotosaurus. And the Giganotosaurus, from what I could tell, I've seen the movie 3 times in theaters, and on YouTube it's very hard to tell because, you know, it's illegal, it's not in good HD quality. So I'm going to hold on to the statement for a little bit and may be debunked in the future if when it comes out on Blu-ray and we can see the movie more in detail. But from what I can tell, the Giganotosaurus took very little damage from Rexy's bites. I don't even think it bled or had scar marks from them. And don't try to argue Rexy was holding back. Rexy's rivals the Giganotosaurus. It's literally taking food from her and it's bullying her. She has absolutely no reason to hold back. So no, I'm not accepting that argument. So he's taking full-on force bites from the Rexy and being just fine. As of now, I can't tell if Giga took any real damage from Rexy or not. We have to wait till the HD releases. But as for the Spinosaurus, a subadult Rex, which is weaker than Rexy, as I keep establishing, made the Spinosaurus bleed off the first contact of biting. As soon as the fight starts, when the subadult Rex smashes the Spinosaurus into the ground with his jaws, you can see blood squirt out of the Spinosaurus' neck. The Giganotosaurus should have comparable bite force. Yes, I know in real life, before someone comments that, the Giganotosaurus bite force is not as strong in real life. I'm talking about Dominion, guys, not the real life versions. This whole topic would be different. But in terms of Jurassic World Dominion, this Giganotosaurus bite force is either equal to or may possibly be superior than the Tyrannosaurus Rex bite force, because it was able to damage Rexy, whose AP should scale to his durability as well. And he was also able to just like overpower Rexy on multiple. Let's go over into the details of the fight. The Giganotosaurus usually starts off every fight by rushing its head in and then smacking its opponent. It does this with Rexy in the first battle. It does it, I believe it does it in the final battle as well. So, it will start off head rushing into the Spinosaurus, Now, mind you, I did bring up that the Giganotosaurus is physically more powerful than a Rexy, who should be the most powerful Tyrannosaurus Rex in the Jurassic Park franchise. Now, if a weaker Rex with a headbutt can make the Spinosaurus not fall over, but stumble and fall back some with a headbutt, imagine the Giganotosaurus, who is consistently shown to use its head to head ram into its opponents, does the same thing to the Spinosaurus and the Giga, which scale above the subadult Rex by quite a few. It would more than like probably knock the Spinosaurus over on its legs. And we saw when Rexy was knocked over by the Giganotosaurus, the Giga stomped its feet onto Rexy. Now, the Giga would do the same with the Spinosaurus and just probably bully the Spinosaurus by being physically more powerful. As I established earlier, the Spinosaurus is physically more powerful than a subadult Rex, but it had trouble. It didn't just completely surpass it. I will use the example of the Giga and Rexy's first fight in the jungle, not counting a prehistoric fight. The first fight in the jungle, how the Giga easily defeated Rexy in the span of like 10 seconds at best, while the Spinosaurus and the subadult Rex spanned it to around 30 seconds. So the Giga already defeated a more powerful Rex in a less time. However, in the final battle, you can outclass that because the fight did last much longer between Rexy and Giga in the final battle. So you can discount that if you like. But that doesn't change that the Giga defeated Rexy overall. And Rexy had to get assistance from the Therizinosaurus to compete with the Giga. And for the Spinosaurus did claw at the Rex, so it will probably try to claw at the Giga. However, the Giga got clawed at by the Therizinosaurus, whose claws is more than likely more powerful than the Spinosaurus's claws. So that should mean the Giga should also be able to take the Spinosaurus's claws with kind of ease, to be honest. It wouldn't do as much. Then we have the bite force. If Spinosaurus could lay off the neck snap, it could probably pull off a dub, as the Giga likes the headbutt, so the Spinosaurus can maybe exploit that. However, I think the reason it can't exploit that is because the Giga is just physically more powerful, so when the Spinosaurus even attempts it, it'll just be knocked over, and it wouldn't really even be given a chance to do so. So I think once the headbutt comes in, that's when the Giga's really just going to hammer home on the Spinosaurus. Its bite force should make the Spinosaurus bleed profusely, and then it should physically overpower the Spinosaurus. And honestly, I will give the battle IQ to Spinosaurus, but I don't think the battle IQ will make much of a difference because the Giga should just be more powerful in almost everything. It should be a lot stronger. The bite force should be more powerful. And its defense is overall better than the Spinosaurus's. There's not a lot in the Spinosaurus's favor. So it's like 8 to 9 times out of 10, I give it to the Giganotosaurus. Low to mid difficulty. Honestly, the Giganotosaurus is a complete menace. And I'm going to have even more fights to help prove how the Giganotosaurus is just an absolute chad. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is my analysis. Do you guys agree or disagree? Spinosaurus fanboys, please understand, I love the Spinosaurus, okay? I'm not trying to downplay it or hate it. The Spinosaurus is so awesome, okay? Alright, so just know this isn't hate or anything. I'm just going over their feats. And based off of feats, the Giganotosaurus is far more impressive.